Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this narration of the web series Humans Don't Make Good Familiars. If you are new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Book 2, Chapter 33. Jake's Point of View. My heart was pounding in my ears. What do you want? I glanced around the alley, still desperately trying to figure out what to do. I want answers, she said. What are you? What's that supposed to mean? I asked, not really interested in a response. I just needed to keep her talking until I found a way out. The detective is blocking the only entrance of the alley. I could summon a weapon, but that would, I thought. But her answer broke my train of thought. I saw you vanish in that cell. How did you do it? Are you an alien? When she said that, I had the kind of out-of-body experience. My mind went blank for a second, and it was quiet for a moment. She repeated a question. What are you? I'm not an alien, I stammered. The inside of my head quickly shifted from dead calm to empty to something akin to a hornet's nest. She saw, frick. How did she see? Was she still in the room? Did I not see her? It must be that mirror. I'm an idiot. Frick, frick, frick. Then what? She asked. Her eyes were laser-locked onto me, like she was staring into my soul. I'm just a guy, a human. Humans can't teleport or turn invisible or whatever. I don't. I was lost for words, but the hornet's nest was still going. Do I explain to her the truth? What do I do? What will she do if she finds out? Is she part of the government? I can't tell her, can I? Say something, she snapped. I don't know what to say. She hung her head for a moment, then ran both her hands through the top of her hair. 4 weeks. I've been questioning everything. My sanity, my job, my health. There has not been one iota of my life that I have not wondered if it was true, or if it mattered, or anything. She sighed and shook her head. I have felt crazy for weeks, so no. You can't just get off with, I don't know what to say. How do you teleport? Who were you talking to? Magic and a mage, I finally answered. She squinted and made a confused face. Magic? Really? Her tone and voice sounded very annoyed. Is it any less believable than aliens? I asked, still tense. Yes, 1,000,000 times yes. I thought about it for a second. Well, technically, it was aliens, but I am a human. It really was magic, though. Explain it to me. No, I'm sorry, but it's too dangerous. You work for the government, and not to mention, you've been stalking me for a while now, I said. Well, what would you have done in my shoes? She asked defiantly. Probably the same thing, if I'm being honest. I shrugged and decided to do something bold, but I'm not telling you anything. Now get out of my way. I started walking towards her, getting ready to push her aside and make a run for it. But instead, she punched me in the face. Before I could hit her back, she had already tackled me to the ground. Assaulting an officer, fleeing arrest, resisting arrest. I'll figure out how you did it in one way or the other, she said, and tried to handcuff me. It didn't work, though. She had only 2/3 my body weight, maybe 75 kilos, and that was assuming that she was soaking wet. I was 100 kilos of muscle, which I used to throw her off of me like a wet rag. She was sneaky, though. She whipped around her stun gun and jammed it into my side. Instinctively, I summoned Igus and whacked her with it in the head. Hard, too. She hit the pavement like a sack of bricks in a river, and I took off running. I didn't even bother sending away Igus first. I just ran without stilling my arm. I ran all the way to Robert's office and locked the door behind me. As soon as I entered the building, I unsummoned Igus and went straight to his office and told him what happened. He called the police, who arrived 10 minutes later, and took my statement. Of course, I was worried about getting arrested, but that didn't happen. Probably because Robert did most of the talking. By the end of it, it was really Robert giving my statement and me sitting quietly listening to him threatening to sue the entire department for such a blatant misuse of something. Admittedly, I stopped listening after 20 or so minutes and started thinking about what I was going to do. The detective saw me go to Suma's world, and she saw me summon Igus, and she knows I was talking to someone. This is going to be a headache, I thought. After the police finished questioning me, Robert and I talked about our next move, and then the police escorted me back to my car. I drove home and immediately called my mum again, but she still didn't pick up. I texted her to call me when she was free and sat in my bed, totally exhausted. I fell asleep pretty quickly, but didn't dream. Instead, I was floating in that familiar black void again. Oh, great. I'm too tired for this. Jake Vandal! The crazy voice said. Zachariah. No! He shouted. Well, he always shouts when his crazy voice is out, but this time it was a lot louder, even in the endless void. There was an echo. I've seen your memories. I know who you are. You locked the memories away. You did not see them. You did not know anything. But I know. They were hurting me. Wait. What do you mean, locked them away? I know. Zachariah repeated. Hold on. What did you mean? I haven't locked anything away. They just stopped. I know how to escape. Escape? I asked, realizing he wasn't going to answer my questions. If only you had a bit more control, little Vikinger. You might not have undone yourself. With that, Zachariah began to laugh, and I felt some kind of pressure in my head. It was so intense, I think I blacked out. But before I did, I heard something. I summon you, Sentinel. Right on time. End of chapter. Book 2, Chapter 34. Suma's Point of View. I was flying through the air above the city of Ágoston, keeping well below the tops of the city walls, searching for my traveling crew. After spotting them near one of the city's gates, I landed beside them on the ground. All right, now that Private Suma is here, our group is complete. It is time to go back to base. Fly in synchronization, everyone, the captain said, and led us to the city gates to go through the city guards check again. One by one, we showed them our orders and were allowed to exit the city. I was the last to exit, and just before it was my turn, I noticed one of my companions, another private, regularly look behind our group. I looked around as well, but did not know what he was looking at. After we had all made it through, we flew in a tight formation to the desert and met with our guide once more. Following the guide, we flew our 2 hours through the desert. I noticed the private talking to the captain at the front of our formation, but I could not hear what they were saying. Eventually, I saw the private look behind him again. Once more, I searched for what he was looking at, and this time I saw it. A large group of 20 or 30 Nyama. Land! The captain ordered, and dived to the sand below. We all followed him and landed in the desert as well. We are being followed. I noticed them watching us in the city, the private said. They are most likely bandits. Everyone take battle positions, create barriers, and summon your familiars. The captain ordered and began his own summoning spell. Before I realized what he said, the captain's salamander was already beside him and preparing itself for battle. I was about to summon Jake when one of the others, a lieutenant, made an announcement. Hold, Cap! It looks like those Nyama following us are court mages. Are you sure? Confirming, the lieutenant said, and cast a spell. His eyes shimmered dull yellow for a moment. Confirm, sir, they are court mages. Hold, everyone! We do not want to start a fight with court mages. Let's see what they want. We all waited tensely as the mages drew closer. Within moments, they were close enough to see, even without a spell to improve eyesight. Sir, one of the mages is... The lieutenant did not finish this sentence, because from the direction of the mages, a bolt of flame tore through his body, getting him. What was left of him fell to the ground and caught fire. Counter-attack! The captain ordered, and launched a bolt of lightning towards the attacking mages. Summon your familiars! I summon you. I summon you. I summon you. One by one, each of my companions called their familiars, while I was left in shock of what was happening. Lady Suma, one of the privates, who had summoned his own familiar, said, and raised a wall of stone between us and the attackers. You need to... An attacking mage had flown over the private's hastily built wall and launched an attack from above. It tore the private's wings from his body, and he crumpled to the sand, screaming in agony. Healing, I said, getting myself oriented and quickly tried to stop his bleeding. The wound slowly closed, but his wing was never going to be able to be retracted now. Not that it mattered anyway, as it was currently burning to cinders in the sand nearby. Lady Suma, your familiar, summon him! The private yelled, still in pain. Yes, I summon you, Sentinel. Normally, summoning Jake is more difficult than summoning anything else. Perhaps it is due to him coming from a different world, or because his world has no magic. I never knew the answer. However, this time summoning him felt as if I was trying to uproot a tree with mana molding. It was like he was stuck. In the end, though, I watched as he appeared, and for a moment I was relieved. But as soon as he appeared, I knew something was wrong. Finally, Jake said, and took a deep breath. He stood motionless, eerily calm even, as the sound of the death echoed around him. The target has arrived. Focus your attacks on it, one of the attacking court mages shouted. Without a moment's hesitation, 3 of the mages began flying around Jake and attacking him relentlessly. Summoning him had taken all of my strength, so I was too weak to move or help him. I was forced to watch as attack after attack pummeled Jake's body, ripping his flesh away each time. The first attack took off a large section of his face, revealing the bones underneath. The next ones were aimed at his body and burned holes through his stomach and ribs. The final attack was an explosion that threw his body through the air and against the stone wall that was meant to protect us. As he slammed into the wall, I heard the terrible sounds of breaking bones. "No!" I screamed. "The Viking is dead! Clean up the rest and—" one of the attackers said, but was interrupted. "Very good. I see the court mages of this era haven't lost their spirit," Jake said from the ground. Without warning, his body was surrounded in a mass of mana, colored blue and purple. With several loud pops, his broken limbs realigned themselves, and with a sickening squelch, the flesh on his body regrew and once again covered his bones. Jake slowly stood up, his garments ripping and covered in bones and his blood, and smiled. The mana around his body began to swirl and twist violently, like a funnel cloud. "I don't have long, so I think I'll enjoy myself." He raised one hand to the 3 mages who had attacked him. "Rot," he said simply. What is? One of the attackers tried to say, but his feathers suddenly turned brown, then black. His beak corroded, and his feet curled in on themselves. His body began to bloat, until the Niama fell to the ground. His terrified allies all looked on in horror, before they suffered the same fate. "Jake!" I yelled, horrified, not knowing what to say. That was death magic." "Yes, and so is this," he answered, and turned to the next nearest court mage. The mage tried to fly away, to escape, but failed. "Starve," Jake said, and the Niama shriveled up and fell to the ground. He was barely more than bones and feathers, mere seconds after hitting the ground. "Retreat," one of the remaining Niama ordered, and what was left of the attackers all started to fly towards the capital. There were only 3 of them left now, and that Jake had slaughtered the rest. Still smiling in that same sickening, twisting way, Jake cast one final spell. "They are your enemy!" At first, nothing seemed to happen, but as 3 court mages retreated, one slowly started to fall behind. Without warning, the mages cast spells that engulfed all 3 of them in a cloud of lightning. I imagine they were dead before they hit the ground. But if they were not, they were afterwards. The cloud of mana around Jake stopped spinning and dissipated. "Jake, what have you done?" I asked, looking up at Jake. "My name, little Niama, is Deja." Jake, or Deja, raised one hand in front of him, and a black flame ignited above his hand. It was so turbulent and hot that I could feel it, even though I was several wingspans away. It was so hot, even the skin on his hand was blistering as he generated it. He raised it above his head. He was going to throw it at me. "I am going to die," I thought to myself. "No!" Deja screamed, and a red magic circle appeared on his shoulder. It was a magic circle that appeared when Jake became my familiar, and it was spreading across Deja's body, burning him as it did. However, for some reason, the burns healed as soon as it appeared. A moment later, the circle dissipated, and Deja was left breathing heavily and angrily examining himself. "A familiar's curse!" He turned to me. "Oh, you must be Suma! I should have guessed." Who are you? Where is Jake?" I demanded. "Shh! He's asleep." Suddenly, Deja seemed very upset. "That's not... I have more time!" He clutched his head and mumbled to himself, "You! No! No!" With that, I felt the summoning activate on Jake's body, but I was not the one performing the spell, despite being able to sense it as if I were. And Jake vanished. This time, the summoning felt normal again. What just happened?" A voice behind me asked, startling me. It was Captain Rizoan. End of chapter. I would quickly like to thank our Tier 5 patrons, Dragzoon WRE, Quantum Wednesday, AmbroseKTal, Lord Ashrakal, Bushmaster 177, Casper Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, and Arcadian. Thank you very much.